Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Jess. If not, welcome back. If you're new to my channel and this is your first time watching me, I would love for you to click that subscribe button down below and join my YouTube fam here. So in today's video, I have a very exciting video, which I say every time. Excuse my voice, I am a little under the weather. Houston weather has just been so crappy lately that my allergies are all over the place. But anyway, today's video I'm going to go over the new Tati Beauty Blendiful. She did come out with textured neutrals, I think, which is a palette. I didn't get that. I have enough eyeshadow palettes, and I feel like I could have, I have similar colors like that in my collection already. So I decided to pass, but something like this, I use a beauty blender every day and really wanted to give this a try. So if you don't know Tati, she is a YouTuber here, a fellow YouTuber, and she has Halo Beauty, which is like her vitamin brand, and then Tati Beauty, which is her makeup line now. But anyway, she came out with these cute little Blendiful things. They're these like powder puff type things. This smaller one is said to be used for like touch-ups. You can take it on the go. It's a lot more firm. And then this one is obviously the Blendiful, and it's super, super soft. And you can flip this either way. So super cute. It's really, really big and fits nicely over your hand, but I love the way this feels. Now, I didn't watch her video on this, but I did watch pretty much everyone else's. So it could be used for cream, powder, and liquid products. I'm not much of a big like cream product person as far as like contouring and using like cream highlighters and blushes, but we are going to give this a go today. Now, she says you can use this to do your entire complexion, so I'm going to give that a go. She also suggests to use like a pore filling primer. This I don't think is a pore filling primer. This is the Silk Canvas Filter Finish Protective Primer. Everyone on YouTube raved about this for the longest time, and I don't know, I wasn't really the biggest fan of it. I know how it works with my skin, like this isn't a new product for me. So what I'm going to do is take one of the corners here and just kind of fold it, and take some of this on the tip there, and just apply this kind of in the center of the face, and then blend it out. I've never really used a product like this before, as in like a, like a powder puff type product. So I'm not really sure how I'll feel about it. A lot of the reviews were good, some of them were mixed, but I'm just not really much of like I'm stuck to my ways. I use a beauty blender or a brush for everything. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I'm gonna grab just a little bit more and just kind of dab this and sweep this around. So it definitely feels nice on the skin. Doesn't like tug or pull or anything. Looks really nice. I mean, it looks like it would apply, using my fingers, which is usually how I apply it. So moving on to foundation, I'm going to use a foundation that I have been using a lot recently, so I know how it'll perform on my skin, and it is the Pure 4-in-1 Love Yourself Longer Foundation. This is a foundation and concealer, but I will be using a different concealer today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dot this all over my face, since that's how I would normally apply it anyway. And then I'll go in with the Blendiful. So I use the primer on this corner here, so I'm going to use this corner for the foundation. Now it says that you can swipe or pat, so on one side I'll swipe and one side I'll pat. Actually, I feel like swiping motions will be better. Now this is a pretty full coverage foundation, and I usually don't have to do more than one layer. But with this, I feel like it's distributing the foundation nicely, and like it's not necessarily soaking a lot of the foundation up, as you can see. It's just kind of sitting on top there, but I feel like I'm gonna put down another layer because you can still, I'm gonna zoom you guys in so you can see a little bit better. All right, there we go. I've got you guys zoomed in a little bit closer so you guys can see that it didn't really cover anything. And typically whenever I use this foundation, obviously it doesn't cover everything because I do have such pigmented scarring, but usually I would get more coverage than this, and I used about 1.5 pumps, which is typically how much I use. So I'm gonna go in just a little bit more over my problem areas, which there are a lot, unfortunately. And I'm gonna try just doing like a buffing motion instead. I feel like that worked a little bit better, but I still think I prefer the Beauty Blender. I mean, I'm getting decent coverage, but I just feel like I would get a little bit more, or that I get a little bit more with my Beauty Blender. Now it does say that you'll have no harsh lines, which is true. I'm not seeing any lines or anything from the fibers, which is nice. But I feel like I'm not getting as much coverage as I usually would with a Beauty Blender, or like a just beauty sponge in general. Like I have a lot of freckles, and you can still see all of them coming through, all of my like beauty marks here. So not the greatest as far as coverage goes. I'll say that. Let's move on to concealer. I'll do one side with the Jouer, which is like a thicker consistency, and then one side with the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, which is more of like a liquid consistency. So I'll do the Jouer on my right side, since it's a little bit thicker. And I'm gonna use the very point to do the concealer. And this I'll just kind of dab in. I definitely feel like I have very textured skin to begin with, but like I feel like, one, I'm not getting anywhere near as much coverage as I normally would. And it's also making my texture, it's also emphasizing my texture a little bit. And I know it's kind of hard for you guys to see on camera, but I'm gonna add just a little bit more. I feel like it doesn't look that bad on camera. Like when I look at the viewfinder, it doesn't look that bad, but in person, I just feel like it's making my under eyes look really, really dry. Maybe adding powder will kind of help that. But I'm just feeling that it's looking a little crepey under there. Now I do have a lot of like fine lines and wrinkles under my eyes, so no matter what concealer I use, that happens. But looking in the mirror, I feel like the concealer didn't really do much. Like on camera, this one looks a lot smoother, obviously, but I mean, not really that much of a difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the Giorgio Armani on this side. And like I said, this one's more of like a liquidy consistency. And I'm just gonna use that same tip there. Yeah, I just feel like this isn't blending out as nicely as I would like. Like where I'm blending it out here, I'm definitely seeing like kind of lines from the fibers here. I'm going to use this corner here that I used with the primer and just kind of rub it on my hand a little bit, and then try and go over it to see if it'll take some of that cakiness away. I'm not really a fan of how this is applying. I am going to go back over both eyes with the Jouer. I feel like it did a little bit better with this kind of thicker consistency. And then while I'm at it, I'm also just going to go back in with my foundation. The Pure 4-in-1 has a doe foot applicator on the inside because it is a foundation and concealer. So what I'm going to do is just go back over some of the places where I want a little bit more coverage. And usually I would never have to do this, but I just feel like I'm getting more medium coverage than full using this as the applicator. So I'm going to go back to my foundation corner here and just do this first before blending in the rest of the concealer. And now back to the concealer side. And I never usually have to do 2 or 3 layers of concealer either, especially because I do have such dry skin. I hate packing on a lot of products. But for this, I just felt like I need a little bit more coverage. Because unfortunately, on this wonderful Thursday, I have to work tonight. So I have to look somewhat decent. I am just not loving the way my skin is looking right now. And I use these products every day. Like with the exception of the concealer, which I do change out, but only I rotate between like 3 of the same ones. My skin has never looked this bad. So I'm not sure if maybe I'm just using it incorrectly or not using the correct products. But I am just not a fan. We are going to move on anyway. So like I said, I very rarely ever contour, but I do really love this Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood contour wand. As you can see, I've used quite a bit of it. So I will be using this to do some cream contouring. Just twist it open. I feel like I never do this evenly. Anybody else? Anybody else just don't really understand contouring. So because my sponge is kind of out of room on this side, I'm going to just flip this way, and then I'm going to fold it kind of like in half and just use this long part here to blend this out. Now this Hollywood contour wand is so easy to blend out, which is why I love it and why it is so user friendly. So I feel like this I can't really mess up because this product is just so good on its own. This is obviously blending out really nicely. I like it using it for this better than I like it for the foundation and concealer. It's not lifting any of the product up underneath, which is nice. I'm gonna add a little bit more. Of course I would drop the cap. Of course. And this I'm just kind of using a tapping motion. I will go in with a powder bronzer over this just to see how this works. Because she does say that you could use it for powder and highlight and blush and things for the entire complexion. So I'm gonna give this a go. Not the best it's ever looked, but definitely not the worst. I feel like using a beauty blender, I still could have done it quicker, but it doesn't look bad. So moving on to cream blush. On one side, I'm going to put the product on the actual Blendiful itself, and the other side I will put on my cheeks and then blend it from there. And I am using the Nude Sticks Nudies Matte All Over Bronze color in the shade Sunkissed. It says bronze color, but I use this as a blush, so let's see how this goes. I'm just gonna put a little on the apples of the cheeks there. Oh, that looks like a lot. Hopefully this blends out okay. So this is the side that I used for the contour. So I'm just going to take this little corner here and blend that out. And this is more of like a kind of like thicker, waxier formula. So it's tugging a little bit, but I don't mind it. That looks nice. And then on this side, I'm just going to take that same part, get a little bit of product on there, and then put it on the side. Well, I almost feel like that is way more pigmented, and I didn't use as much product. Ooh, that is a lot. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, and you can see that there's barely any product still left on there. So what I'm gonna do is take a little bit more and put a little bit more on this side just to kind of even it out. And then when I powder my whole face, hopefully it doesn't look like I'm a red lobster sunburn. I'm gonna take this over the nose just a little bit. And then moving on to cream highlighter, I am using the YSL stick highlighter. We'll just call it that. In shade 1, which is this really pretty kind of like champagne-y color. And then same thing on this side, I'm going to just kind of swipe it. And then on the other side, I will use the Blendiful. So I'm going to kind of use the space between the contour and the blush, so kind of this space right here, and fold that. I know one of the complaints is that the Blendiful is a little bit big, but it gives you more surface area to work with as far as, you know, if you're using it for this many complexion products, you don't want to run out of room and start mixing, you know, all of your products together. But that is looking really nice. So I don't know if I like using this for actual like foundation and concealer, but as far as like contouring, blush, and highlight, I don't think I'd mind using it. There's definitely a learning curve with this, which is what most people are saying. Like, it's just not, I mean, most people that use a powder puff like this use it to just set their face with powder and only powder products. But this is designed for all, you know, cream contour, I'm sorry, cream, powder, and liquid. So, you know, you really want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth. But it looks nice. So this side, I'm going to just take some on the Blendiful itself again. So just like so, and dab this baby on. So for applying the blush, I felt like it was easier to take the product onto the Blendiful and then onto the face, whereas the highlighter, I feel like this is just clinging onto the highlight on the Blendiful, so it's easier to just kind of pat this into place and then blend it out when it's already on the face, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna take what's left on this and just do the tip of my nose and then down the bridge. And then a little on the chin and the Cupid's bow. Nothing too crazy. All right, and then moving on to powder. The powder I'm going to be using today is the Milk Makeup Blur. This is the Blur and Set. Now this has a little filter on it, and I've just kind of shaken it so it's got some product on there. And because I want to set my whole face, I'm going to take this whole section here and use that to set my face. So it does pick up quite a bit of product on here, so I'm going to just tap it a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of press it onto the skin. Press and like roll. Oh, this is a blurring setting powder, so I'm hoping that it'll kind of make my skin look a little bit more flawless and filtered, because right now it is looking a little rough. And then I will go underneath the eye with this as well. course, I forgot to blend out my contour underneath my chin, so doing that now, just with that same contour side. And then before I set my under eye, I'm just going to use my finger. So using this for powder, it is making my skin look flawless. But I mean, you could also get powder puffs like these at the store for, you know, a few dollars. The only good thing about this is that it is washable, which is nice, so good for the planet, but I don't know that it's worth the price tag. But we will talk about that later. All right, so we have now set the face. I'm going to move on to powder blush and powder bronzer. So I'm going to take my very loved butter bronzer here, and this is just the original Sunkissed bronzer. And I'm going to take it on the same place where I did the contour and just kind of swirl it around in there. Oh wow, that is so much product. Okay, we're gonna give this a go, and I'm gonna go with a really light hand so I don't mess this up. Oh, that is so much product. Okay. Just trying to distribute this everywhere before actually trying to blend it all in. I just feel like this is just so much more work than a brush. Like, I understand having like an all-in-one, all-purpose kind of beauty tool that does all of the work. So I guess for traveling, if you had the time, you know, and you weren't really in a rush, this might come in handy. I mean, it's blending it out really nicely. I just don't know if I would pick this up over a bronzer brush, which could do this in about half the time, you know, than just me stamping it around, you know. But doesn't look bad. For my powder blush, I'm going to use the Le Tissage de Chanel. Wow, that was a mouthful. It's the Chanel blush in the shade 140 Tweed Beige, which is this gorgeous, gorgeous blush. And then I'm going to go back in with that blush side, take just a little bit because I feel like this applicator picks up so much product, and then just kind of tap it over the cheekbones. Now again, I'm doing both cream and powder of everything, which I definitely would not do. But for the sake of the video and for the sake of trying this product, it looks like I have pounds of makeup on, which kind of do, but typically I never would. I feel like that was fairly easy. Again, you could do the same thing with a brush, so it's like, I mean, I understand the concept of this, but do you really need it? Sorry about that last little bit there. My microphone wasn't recording, so I apologize. And then I think I want to use the ColourPop Super Shock formula for highlighter, which I know isn't everyone's cup of tea. Their Super Shock shadow, their Super Shock formula I really enjoy, but I know for some people it's a little bit trickier to work with. So I have the ColourPop Super Shock cheek in, or highlighter in on the cusp. And I'm just gonna turn it to a clean spot here. I'm gonna take this on the actual sponge itself and then tap it over and see what that does for us. Typically how I apply this is with my fingers and then I just blend it out. So I would pick this up to use it on with this particular formula. So that's really nice and it looks beautiful. So again, just going in with the powder puff, or with the Blendiful, I should say. Yeah, that looks really nice actually. So I do like it with this formula. Take it a little on the brow bone there. All right. So I'm going to finish off the rest of my makeup and I will be back to go over my final thoughts. Alright, so now that I am done with the rest of my makeup, my thoughts on the Blendiful. It's a love-hate for me for like the cream, bronzer, blush, and highlight, and even for powder. I really do like it. Now, like I said, I don't know if I will reach for this over my brushes, especially because this, I feel like now in order for me to use it again, like if I wanted to use it tomorrow, I would have to wash this tonight, let it dry overnight, and hopefully it's dry by the morning. And I did use both sides. Now it's not too disgustingly dirty, as you can see. There's still plenty of room on this side for me to use, and even some right here. But overall, I don't know that I like it for my complexion. It definitely did not cooperate with the concealer and my under eyes, so my under eyes look really cakey and splotchy, and that's not usually something that happens, even though I do have dry under eyes. But yeah, and for the little one, I know I didn't use it, but this is supposed to be used as like a touch-up kind of sponge that you can take on the go. Like, I don't know that I'll just like take this and throw this in my purse and just use this for touch-ups. I really don't need to powder my face. Like, my face doesn't get oily through the day. I might get some creases in my smile lines here, but those I usually just tap out with my finger. Like, I'm not gonna pull this out of my purse and sit there and blot around. So this is just meh. It's a lot harder than this one here, so I wish that either this would have just been cheaper and she not throw this in, or this one, you know, buy individually for, you know, like a few dollars or as an add-on. Now this retails for $18 for both of them, which I did not mention before, but retail price is $18, and you do get 2 of these, so one big one, ooh, I just threw it, and one small one here. And then for like 5 to 7 day shipping, it was like an additional $5, so it came out to a total of $22.68, and it did take about a week to get to me. Like I said, it's a really innovative product, and I like where she was going with this, where it's eco-friendly. You can wash this, reuse it, so you're not wasting as many, you know, like powder puffs. But I didn't use like powder puffs to begin with, so the concept itself, I get it, and I like it, and I understand it, but I think it's just a learning curve, and I definitely have to play with this more. So yeah, my overall thoughts, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I think that it's good for certain products and not good for others, at least for my skin. But yeah, if you yourself bought some of these, let me know your thoughts down below. And I am going to wash this tonight, so I will leave a comment. I'll pin a comment in the description saying like how long it took to dry, if I ended up using it tomorrow. But yeah. So that is it. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning into another video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time. Bye guys.